Hey, what's up, everybody? Another episode of my comedy buddies. Now I'm sitting here with Adam Harvin, a comic all the way from Arkansas, come down to do the festival with us. Adam, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Man, if I was any better, I'd be twins.
Oh, all right.
So we're getting geared up. Festival's going to start here in a few hours.
Yeah.
I'm super pumped about doing it. I'm really pumped that you were able to make it down. Let's get into some stuff here. How long have you been doing comedy?
So July will be 5 years for me.
5 years.
Yeah.
Murderer at 5 years.
Yeah, you're getting there.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
I've definitely seen you several times. You do not seem like a 5-year comic.
Yeah.
You do a great job.
I don't know if that's yeah, I guess that's a good thing. Yeah, I put in work. That's the thing is, like, it's not a hobby for me. I treat it like a job. So
Yeah.
I'd hitting the open mics, writing all the time, and the podcast was I wanted to be able to develop the conversation skills a little bit better. So that was kind of just messing around and being better at interviewing people and stuff like that.
And tell them the name of your podcast.
It's Cage Against the Machine podcast. We watch Nicolas Cage movies with some comedians and just talk through the whole movie. It's a blast. And there's some mushrooms and edibles and drinking involved.
There you go. Yeah. I haven't got to do the podcast with you yet.
Yeah.
I know that we're going to, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. It sounds like a good time.
Oh, it's a blast.
Yeah.
That's the thing is, like, even if it doesn't get a lot of views in anything, I'm just tricking my friends to hang out with me and watch a movie. So that's the fun part. I get my friends to come over to the house and watch a movie with me.
A movie that they otherwise would say, no, I don't want to watch that.
Oh, no,
like,
you would never
podcast.
pick to watch any of these movies. So there's, like, most of the ones that we do are terrible.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that ruin the rest of your day, too. There's a lot of them where you're like, I don't even know what that movie was about.
Not getting that time back in my life.
Yeah, Sympathy with the Devil was one of the ones that we did recently, and it's one of his newer movies. And the director was like, he just showed up with red hair. We don't know why or what. Nick Cage just shows up with red hair, and they're like, okay, I guess we're going with this. And they're like, yeah, and it's filmed in Vegas where he lives. So you know it took like a week to make this movie. Yeah. And at the end of it, you're like, I didn't need to watch that. That could have been a 10-minute short movie.
Yeah. That's wild. How do you even come up with the idea of doing that podcast?
So, I was a big fan of Zach and Miko's Midnight Spook Show, where he sits down with comedians and watches terrible horror movies, just like B-rated horror movies. So I was like, man, I like the idea of doing that, but I need my own edge. And me and my wife were watching. We sit down and we're watching this movie on Netflix, and it was a home invasion movie, where someone just broke into the house and they tied these people up.
Yeah.
I fall asleep about 15 minutes into the movie. And then when I wake up, I didn't realize my wife had changed the movie to, it's actually Trespass with Nick Cage and I think Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
And it looked very similar, and it was a home invasion movie. So I was like, damn, I didn't know Nick Cage was in this. And my wife didn't say shit. So we get all the way through this movie until I see the title of it. And I was like, did you change the movies? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, damn, I guess you just throw Nick Cage in anything and unless it works. So I was like, I'm going to do just Nick Cage movies. And then I was like, does he have enough? Google, he has about 200 movies. So he's got, I'm not going to run out of podcast material anytime soon.
Wow. I didn't realize he's had that many movies.
Yeah, and he's still going. He's saying he's thrown out retirement here recently, but that's bullshit. There's no way he's going to stop.
Yeah, not when you can do those.
And he's back into the big movies.
Yeah.
He was kind of in that... The podcast, I really like focusing around the 2018, 2019 era when he was in tax trouble. Yeah. And just doing anything that he could do for money. Yeah. Those are the ones that the podcast is about. Yeah. Because we do a drinking game when we do the podcast too. Yeah. So it's like so if his love interest is way too hot or a big age gap, you got to take a drink. If he does the Nick Cage whisper and then overacting, you got to take a drink. If one of his family members make an appearance, you got to take a drink because his kids, his ex-wives, his current wife, they all pop up in movies. His brother's like a radio host, and there's a few movies where he's just sitting at the bar in the background. Like, he has no lines or anything. He's just sitting at the bar.
That's funny.
Yeah, and then I think Deadfall, his brother actually wrote the movie, and it's terrible. And there's a surprising amount of movies where he has a prosthetic nose on. Like,
really?
We keep finding them. Like, yeah, Deadfall, he's got a prosthetic nose. There's one where James Franco's a prostitute called Sunny, and it's Nick Cage's only movie he's ever directed. And it is a wild movie, but he plays a pimp named Acid Yellow, and for some reason has a prosthetic nose on.
Wow. You know a lot about Nick Cage.
It screwed up when I started the podcast. It ruined my Google, like my Facebook news, like all my news feeds and stuff are just Nick Cage events and stuff like that. So it's my internet search history looks like I'm the biggest Nick Cage fan, and it just kind of ruined
hilarious.
Everything. So yeah, if he gets arrested, it pops up on there pretty quick.
How many festivals? Comedy festivals?
This will be my first festival.
Nice.
I've submitted for a couple like big ones that were like long shot in the dark on getting on for sure, but I'd never really like this is my first one. I'm just kind of getting a feel for what they are and what what advantages that they give you and stuff like that.
Right.
So yeah, hopefully, which I mean, I think it's gonna be fun just hanging out with this many comedians and everything.
Yeah, and that's I've told everybody is, to me, if you don't get anything else from this, network with all the other comedians. Yeah. Exchange information, see where they're at, see like if you can get them to where you're at, if they can get you where they're from. Yeah,
that's kind of keeping me alive right now. I mean, like you rolling through Fort Smith and meeting you, and doing a good set in front of you has helped me get other gigs, and then doing the same thing with some guys from Missouri has helped me be getting me booked, because it's like you kind of burn out your own local spot real quick.
That's a big thing that I encourage everybody. Like I went and did the Rhythm and Wit podcast with Nick Campbell, and that was one of the big things that we focused on when we were talking. He was like, "What's the best advice that you can give a comic?" I'm like, never miss opportunity to get on stage, and get out of town. Yeah. You have to go someplace else. You can't do your hometown and the little clubs around you forever, because you don't grow and nobody new learns who you are.
Yeah, and I don't mind driving right now. I can do it, and like this one, I think it was, it's about 7 hours. It was like, a Joe Rogan podcast and about 3 or 4 specials, comedy specials on the way here. So I usually just chill and listen to podcasts when I drive. I just zone out. It's fun.
Yeah, that's when I get most podcasting watched. Yeah, is while I'm driving. I spend a lot of time on the road too, and
doing some comedy specials. I feel weird about watching comedy specials sometimes because some of them, like, I don't know, some of them are so good that you want to quit comedy, and some of them reinforce you where you're like, oh, I'm better than that guy. I can pull this off.
Yeah, I had this conversation with somebody the other day. Is how much they've transitioned back from the 1 hour comedy special. Now there's a bunch of people putting out 30 and 45 minutes.
I was thinking about that too on the way here. It was like, is there value to doing an hour long one anymore? Because I think the reason they started doing 30-minute specials is because on average, I think only 28 minutes get watched of the hour long specials on Netflix.
And before people started making the transition back, a lot of people had started changing the way that they built a set, because like historically the best way to build a set is your absolute best joke is your closing joke, your second best joke is your opener, and then you fill in between. Where then they changed it to where specials that were going on TV excuse me, they would put their best joke at the 30-minute mark.
I've been doing that in my headliner set, but it's mostly so I can get to the good joke before I start walking people with the dirty joke. That last 15 starts getting a little dirty on them, so I'm like, I get the good ones. Maybe they'll stick around for these. I mean, they're still good, but they're dirtier.
I wrote a new joke that I ran for the first time the other night at an open mic, and it was an open mic that's mostly music. Mm-hmm. And so I walked in. I was like, "Hey, do y'all allow comedy at this open mic?" And they were like, "Yeah, we guess." Yeah. So I did this joke, and it's a joke that's way different than anything I do. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit, I'll tell you this, it involves the Boy Scouts. Nice. So you kind of already know the direction it's going, but that's way different than anything else I do. And I did some other stuff that I was wanting to work on, and I closed with that one, and the entire bar all went, oh, at the same time. I was like,
see, when I first started,
I liked that.
I was about to say, when I first started, I counted those as laughs for things like, if somebody goes, ooh, I was like, I got them, you know. I was like, and I still like it when they, you know, when you get a ooh instead of laughing. I'm like, yeah, that's good. Yeah, I still like that. I still leave some of those in. Yeah,
hell yeah. All right, so like I said, I'm just running through. I'm doing a bunch of shorts with everybody as they come in. So tell everybody like where they can find you.
All right, I'm the Fort City Shithead on Instagram, Adam Harvin Comedy on Facebook. Check out Cage Against the Machine podcast on YouTube.
Hell yeah,
that's it.
Adam, I appreciate it, man.
We'll see, man.
Glad you made it.
Yep.